So just came back from the men's group today. Now waiting at work for about half an hour for my shift to start. Very sleepy. But anyways, there was this one guy at my group. He's like, what, 400 pounds or something. And man, he just made me very hopeful in him today. The stuff he shared. Like, he's been walking outside. He's been walking every 10K steps every single day for like 2 weeks straight. He's been playing rugby, twice a week or something, and he's been following a low carb diet. And he came in, his haircut was fresh, his glasses, I think there were new glasses, they looked really good. And even his mindset, what he said about, anyway, I won't share too much shit, but just made me very hopeful because all the things he shared were, I think, things that are exactly what you should be doing if you're trying to lose a substantial amount of weight and stuff, and get yourself in the right place, physically and mentally. And he deals with like relapse in a certain area of his life, and it's the same thing that I used to do. Anyway, so like, man, you just gotta like love your way to the top, right? Like love your way to ascension, because kind of the way you defeat bad habits, defeat bad things, is not so much to like fight those things, because your discipline is limited, right? Like there's like a limited resource model of willpower in psychology. Who knows? Like that is verified. That's true, but who knows about the mechanism behind it? It's been debated, but like discipline is a very limited thing, a limited resource that you have, right? So it's better to spend that discipline on one-off decisions that then carry that hold together a sequence of actions, right? Like you only have to use the discipline once to commit yourself to something. Let's say like get a job or something, put yourself in a new situation, or say like I'm not gonna have sugar anymore, like shit like that, like I don't eat sugar, right? Stuff like that. So it's better to kind of love your way to the top. Like for example, when your life becomes more expansive, becomes better, more open, something more enjoyable, something you fall in love with, things that you fall in love with, you take care of them. And then the discipline is no longer necessary. You no longer have to fight the bad things, because the bad things kind of just fall away by the wayside. There's no real room for them in your life. You don't feel like doing them anymore. So, for example, him playing rugby, like let's say twice a week or something, or like let's say he has a nice haircut today, he came in with a nice haircut. As he starts to love himself more, or let's just talk about me, let's not talk about this guy. So, or anything, or like let's say you look in the mirror and you start seeing some progress and you start liking the person that you are, right? Then you no longer need to eat shit anymore. Let's say you've been avoiding sugar for a while, and then you start to feel good inside your body, and you start to love that feeling of being able to work, being able to do things. Then eating sugar is torture, because it's like you're accepting that inferior energetic state, and it's anathema to you at that point. Or let's say you've been going to spas, paying for prostitutes or whatever you've been doing. Like at a certain point when your life is expansive enough, the relationships are real, you start wanting the money for better things, whatever, then that shit goes by the wayside, right? Yeah, these bad things just kind of fall off when you start to love things in your life. So you kind of have to love your way to the top. And the hard thing is that when you're in a shitty situation in the beginning, and believe me, I used to be there, it's hard to find things to love. And so you have to kind of just attach your love to the most immediate, smallest little things you can find, just to start that cycle of expansiveness in your life, right? So it's hard for someone to say what that is for you, right? Like I don't even remember what it was for me, but like, and it could, and like, man, higher paradigm truths, they don't stick until you're at a certain point to receive them. And this is like a mistake that I've seen made in the men's group over and over again. It's that people who've already made it, let's say guys in their 50s and stuff, they've reached a certain level of understanding through their own life experience, that they try to impart that wisdom on somebody younger who's in a kind of lower frequency, a lower state of life. And so those lessons as true as they are for that context at like 50 or something, once you made it, they are the right ideas. But man, someone who is in a shitty situation shouldn't try to live by those lessons, right? So I'll give some examples of even myself, right? So like, let's say, back when I was reading Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now and A New Earth. I love that book, New Earth. I read that in prison many years ago now. That was all the way back in like what, 2015 or something. And he was talking about being present, and I was thinking when I was reading that book, if I'm just being present, how am I gonna get things done, right? How am I gonna chase success if I'm so content with the present? It didn't ring true to me. It doesn't make sense. Also, all my rumination, all my thinking about the future, whatever, seemed so useful because I was thinking, man, if I let that thinking go, aren't I gonna be dumb? Like, aren't those ideas very fruitful? The things that I'm thinking about, like, why should I be present, right? So it was a very high paradigm truth that wasn't applicable to me in that state of life, in that frequency, in that situation, that context. And I think I was right to reject that at that point. It wouldn't have served me well at that point in my life. I was served better with a different set of truths, which, although maybe not so true, were contextually true, like good, pragmatically true at that point, right? Like, take for example this one idea of the precarious manhood, okay? Like in psychology, you learn that this is not a good thing. It's a toxic thing. It's bad for mental health. And now at this point, having reached this point in my life, I agree that this idea of precarious manhood, where you don't feel like a man until you've attained things, you've had to achieve your manhood, that this belief is a toxic belief. It's bad for mental health. It's bad for real achievement, tangible results in the world. I get that now, right? But I'm not going to say that the precarious manhood idea didn't serve me well before. I think it served me very well. Because when your situation really sucks, it's nice to have any motivation you have, any kind of source of energy, any kind of mental fuel, whatever it takes. Even if it's a burning fire under your ass, like whatever it takes to get that positive upward spiral going, right? So coming back to that Eckhart Tolle idea of presence, for example, to use a current example of myself, for the past couple of weeks or so, I've been avoiding movies and TV shows. And whenever you try to implement things like these, you inevitably relapse initially. So like when I was trying to start no sugar, how many times over the years did I go back to eating sugar and it fucked me up, and I realized, okay, let's get back on the wagon, right? To the point that now I pretty much never fall off. Like, no sugar is just a way of life for me, and I enjoy that way. It's the only way that works for me, no sugar, right? But so when it comes to no movies and no TV shows, I was falling off initially. But for the last 2 weeks or so, I've been able to keep at it because it's just a way of life that I want now, right? Because I realized that I've been running away from life. I've been running away from dealing with shit, right? And I've been running away from it into sugar, into movies, into TV shows, into porn, into masturbating, all these escapes, all these distractions. Interestingly, psychology research has found that guys use the distraction more often than women as a way of handling difficult situations or whatever, right? Which is why men gravitate towards substance abuse a lot more than women, like drugs and alcohol and stuff. So it's like, on studies, women show much higher rates of depression. It was pretty significant. Like, we're talking 2 to 1 or 3 to 1. No, I'm not sure, but it was a really significant result. Women reporting more depression in their lifespan than men at like almost all ages except for like very young, right? But it could be that men are being underdiagnosed. This was something that came up in class because because depression falls into an internalizing disorder as opposed to an externalizing disorder. If you use that spectrum, internalizing would be things that you do to yourself, like harms that you do to yourself. Externalizing would be stuff like, let's say, beating up somebody else or doing substance use, criminality, shit like that. So it could be that men are being underdiagnosed for depression because their way of coping with adverse stressors in life is not so much depression and ruminating and stuff, but like acting outwards, like, or distracting themselves with substance use and stuff, right? So for me, I used movies and TV shows in that way. I used sugar. Because feeling good in my life was anathema to me. It was unbearable, because anytime I felt good in my life, for like most of my life, I had nowhere to put that energy. It was too much, and my life sucked. I had anxiety, no way to go out, no way to make a living, whatever, in my mind at least. So to sit at home in my room feeling good, with no way to make use of it, because yeah, it was like too painful. Feeling good was more painful than feeling bad. So I would use ways to bring myself down. And I mean, this is quite common with bipolar people. Like, they'll use substance abuse for both ways, to pick themselves up out of depression, but also to bring themselves down if they're feeling too high, right? But now I'm at a point where my life is expansive enough that I don't need to bring myself down. It's still very uncomfortable to be that high, to feel good in in life, in my body, whatever. It's still uncomfortable because my life is still not completely where I would like it to be, of course, right? But it's good enough that increasingly I can get rid of these distractors, these distracting coping mechanisms like TV shows, movies, sugar, masturbation, porn, so on. Um, so as I've left TV shows and movies, as I don't let myself engage in those anymore, I've become naturally bored. And I've been realizing that when I'm bored, if there are no movies and shows to get rid of the boredom, then I instinctively, naturally just start doing things, and I start enjoying doing things, to the point that I don't even want to stop. Like, the productivity becomes so enjoyable, so good. Uh, but it's like I was never being productive in that way. I was never dealing with life's challenges, life's problems head on, because I was always distracting myself by just by crashing myself into a low state, right? With sugar or whatever, movies, whatever, just distracting myself. And so I never grew as a person to be able to handle life stressors, right? Like, that takes skill, and you only develop that skill by meeting life's challenges head on, not running away from them into substance abuse and stuff. Um, and so now I find that not engaging in these things, man, I'm just naturally bored, and I naturally start doing things. I naturally start learning things, getting stuff done, handling bureaucratic tasks, logistical tasks, just getting shit done. And the huge boon of this is that now that I trust myself to get things done, I no longer have to think about it. And so it's like I've reached that higher paradigm where Eckhart Tolle's stuff he said about presence, about ditching the ego, it hits home now. Like, that's a truth. It's a lesson that I'm willing to and able to live by now, to incorporate into my life. And I know those aren't Eckhart Tolle's originally his ideas or something. I know they're like Eastern ideas. Hinduism has all that stuff. Regardless, and so now it's like I can be present for everything. I'm at work, whenever I'm at work, whatever, with people, I can enjoy that moment. I can be present and enjoy that moment for its own sake, because I don't have to depart from there. I don't have to pressure myself. I don't have to worry about anything, because I have full confidence that I will get whatever needs to be done. Because when I am not distracting myself, then I have a lot of time, and I just naturally gravitate to doing things. Like, I have such unshakable faith in myself that now that I will get things done, as long as I don't get in my own way, as long as I don't start crashing myself with sugar, don't fuck myself up with movie shows, waste all my time, whatever. When these things aren't there, what remains is naturally a very positive, productive, awesome person. And I trust that. I have unshakable faith in that now. My only job is to not bring down my frequency. My only job is to keep my own frequency high, to not get in the way of myself. As long as I can do that, I trust myself, who that person remaining is, the remainder. That person left over, once I take away the shit that I was doing to myself, inflicting on myself. I have unshakable faith in that person. That guy is a very productive, positive, competent person who dispatches with tasks, and it frees me to be in the moment with whoever I'm with, wherever I'm at. And the shit that revolves around me, the turmoil, all the shit that happens to me in life, doesn't impact me, because I have confidence in myself to be able to deal with that when I get around to it, right? And so it frees me to be present, to be to have fun, to make use of humor. Like when I look at my coworkers, these are older people. They're always like busting out jokes and stuff, laughing in in a stressful situation, and so on. And people gravitate to that. People are attracted to that. People want to be around people like that. And why? And I always used to think, like, how is it that these people are doing this? Because I was very serious. I was always stuck in my own head, very serious about shit, not able to take things lightly. And even now, it's very hard for me to take things lightly, to be humorous or hilarious, like to engage in things like these. But I see now that that was why people are attracted to that, why it's a positive thing, where I need to go with this. And increasingly I think, getting better at this. I'm free to enjoy life, the situations that I find myself in. Like when there's a gift of a good time, that is a gift, and I can enjoy it because I don't have to be worrying and like stressing about whether I will be able to get shit done, whether I'll be able to handle bad things in my life, whatever. And that comes with trusting myself, right? So yeah, there's that. What else? Did I want to talk about something else? There's many things I could talk about, but yeah, I think there's quite a few other things I could talk about. I'll leave it at that for now, I think.